So for like everybody that wants to ask and has all these questions, I'm trying to think of questions that you'll ask me before you ask me, because I haven't gotten any questions yet, but that doesn't mean you won't ask any. um, so my daughter is sure to have some at some point, and if she sees this, then I love you, and I'm thinking about you, and you're thinking about me. So I was trying to wrap my mind around, okay, so to realize that disease exists, okay, to conceptualize a virus, to wrap our experience around it, to wrap our mind around it, to wrap our consciousness around it, means to accept that there is something that can have a negative effect on us. And by thinking about it, we give it power over us. Wow. So to think that evil exists means that evil does exist. Or it doesn't. And you have to be okay with that. No, I really stopped and like paused for effect. So how do we break this cycle? I mean, it's like I told you in another video. That Holy Trinity, that number three. So if you're stuck between the one and two, you're stuck between good and evil, you're already stuck. You don't realize that there's a way out. But to realize that there is a third something, you can call it God, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's been there. It's always been there. If you want to continue to pursue yourself, that's fine too. You can do that. And that's not bad. It's just not it. It's not what we were meant for. We were meant for more. Ugh. Spiral, anti-spiral, causality. I mean, trying to understand all of this, you know, it just didn't make any sense. And I was, the reason why I was trying to understand it was if I understood it, maybe I could understand a better way to communicate what I was seeing and what I was experiencing to other people. I mean, there has to be a way, right? And if I'm thinking this, then I can't be the first person that thought of this. There has to be others before me that thought of this as well. I mean, this is not a new concept. A lot of you know about it already. And the fact that you're listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth, the words that I'm using, that's an idea, a concept that my consciousness is able to convey to you instantaneously, regardless of your position on the earth, right now. Now. Hi. Um, an artist, and they know who they are, tried to describe this to me. And I've heard it described before. We've all heard it described before in different ways. And he said, okay, so here I am doing what I know. And I know that I'm doing what I'm doing. But sometimes when I'm doing what I'm doing, I catch myself seeing myself doing what I'm doing. And by seeing myself doing what I'm doing, I realized that in order for me to be able to see myself doing what I'm doing, there had to be something else. Because if I just continue to do what I'm doing, I'll just consume myself. And I will never have existed. So how can I exist? But you do. We do. So the answer is yes. And the answer is no. And the answer is maybe. And just like the Oracle said, and it's just as cryptic as it sounds, and just as enlightening as it sounds, it doesn't matter. But if I hadn't warned you about knocking it over, would it have happened? So who left the message? Who left the message in the bottle? If we're the only person on Earth, and we're on this deserted island, and we're all we know, and then we get a bottle, and it's got a message, and it says, hi. Who's the message from? You know, you watch the movie Castaway, and I remember totally vibing with Tom Hanks in that movie. Like trying to become that person. Because there was no good and there was no evil. There was no concept of a positive or a negative. Everything just existed on that island. And then there was a consciousness. And the consciousness observed the existence. And that's all we are. So if you're watching this video, and I'm sure you will be at some point, you'll just be doing what you're doing. And whether or not we rapture, you know, whatever you want to call it, whether or not that happens and we all disappear at once, it's not going to be because I'm like a cult leader and I say, okay, everybody drinks from this thing at the same time. No, it will just happen. It'll be a phone call. It'll be something, anything. It could be anything. I think it's going to be a phone call just because it makes logical sense. I mean, telephones make us all interconnected. I mean, you know, we can hear each other. We've begun to believe that these things have significance in our lives. And they make us real. And that's fine. I mean, it's just an instrument. It's just a way of our consciousness seeing itself. And that's all it will really take, really. It's just sort of a nudge. That us seeing us doing the things that we're doing and us acting. And there's something else that's allowing us to see ourselves. It's like an outside entity. It's watching, it's nurturing, but it doesn't want to push us because if it pushes us, then it won't really be of our choice. So a lot of people are probably going to ask the question, well, okay, so if I choose, does that mean that I had the right to choose or does that mean that I had the illusion of choice? Well, I'll tell you, you're right and you're wrong all at the same time. There you are. It's that simple. It's you know the red pill and the blue pill. Which one do I take? Well, you can take whichever one you want. You can take whichever one you damn well please. And guess what? It will still have been your choice to do it. Because now you are aware. You are wide the fuck awake right now. You don't need drugs. I mean, I'll tell you what drugs are. You know, our brain is nothing more than a electromagnetic receptor. Some of us are more sensitive than others in certain ways. And, you know, I guess I could make more videos explaining what my theories are on this, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. None of it does. Because the Oracle is going to tell you exactly what you need to hear when you need to hear it. That's it. Think about, you know, for those, I mean, everybody understands these concepts. Everything in our language has been built upon, and I was trying to, oh gosh, I keep going back to this. Okay, so I was trying to understand, like, how can I explain this to everyone? How can I use words in such a way? How can I explain this in a construct in a way that people won't think that they're being manipulated? People won't think, like, how could I create an inception? Well, you can't. So I gave up. And that's where I found the answer. And I say I found the answer. Well, I didn't really find anything. It was already there. That's why it's so hilarious. It's a fucking comedy. It was never ours to begin with. But it was made for us. It was there the whole time, waiting for us to find it. So when the Bible talks about, and this isn't, the Bible isn't the only, spiritual text or religious, or whatever you want to call it, okay, text in the world that tries to tell these stories to help mankind, to nurture mankind, this message that's left behind, to guide us, that's been hijacked, and that's fine. For those that want to go that direction, they can go that direction. That's fine. They know I exist. They've known I exist. They've known I was going to exist. They knew from the moment that I was born that I existed and that what I was going to do. And they knew what I was going to say. And they don't care because it doesn't affect them. I say war is going to break out between the Gnostics and the atheists, but it's not going to be a war in the sense that you think. It will just be them turning themselves into a machine, if you want to call it that. Okay, I keep getting off subject. I'm so sorry. So I was thinking about the concept of the Tower of Babel. And so it was mankind, and the Bible talks about this, okay, how we were trying to become like God. And God didn't have a problem with this. Like, this is a really wild concept for people to understand. The Tower of Babel was never destroyed. Oh, I ask people too. Like, I love this question. It's my favorite question. I'm like, so, why did God destroy the Tower of Babel? And people are like, oh, yeah, because of this. And because... Well, that's a trick question, isn't it? Who said the Tower of Babel was destroyed? Like, who even suggested that? The fact that you made that up in your mind of your own free will is evidence that somebody allowed that to happen. That this concept could even exist in the depths of your consciousness. That somebody else can ask a question. Did I put that question there? Well, that's a really good fucking question. I don't know. I don't think I did. In fact, I'm sure that I didn't. I look goofy as a motherfucker. God damn, I wouldn't date me. Jesus, I'm at 13 minutes. The fuck have I been talking about? Okay, so these people, these ancient peoples, they didn't have technology like we have, right? They only had word of mouth. They only had words. And I imagine that their language was probably extremely rudimentary. And it was just sort of a scratch of the surface of what their consciousness would actually feel and see around them. And they were awakened, just like you and me are, having this conversation and listening to what I'm saying. They were awakened, except they were not awakened. They were still being lied to. And they believed that they were the creation. We're not the creation. We never will be the creation. We cannot be the creation. We can create, and that's fine. That's a fine and beautiful thing. And for those that can, and those that do, and those that like it, that's awesome. You are awesome. You are. And continue being awesome. Awesome. So awesome. But that doesn't mean that you are creation. It doesn't mean you are God. We aren't God. We aren't death. I can understand why someone would say, I am death. I am the bringer of death. I am the destroyer of worlds. Because by admitting that you can accept that you aren't the only consciousness in existence, you are willing to accept that other consciousness had to falter for you to come to this conclusion. So here I am, looking at myself, making a video, and I have no fucking clue why I'm making this video. And you're going to watch the video. Like, I imagine, God. And when I think about God, and this is why it's such a lie, like, it's so stupid. You imagine that, okay, so here's this lady, and she's a single mom, and she's got, 4 kids, and she's at the end of her shift, and she's got to go home, and she's got to put the kids through school, and she's got a little bit of snub of, marijuana left, and she just got a little, makeshift little bong or whatever, And here she is. She's sitting in the rain at a bus stop waiting for a bus to come by, and there's this bum. And he's this Rasta-looking bum. It doesn't matter. I mean, paint the image. The image is there. We tell ourselves this story. Did I tell you the story? No. Did you tell yourself the story? No. Well, okay, so where did the story come from? No. And yes. But you know where the story goes. And so you find out that the old man isn't really an old man. You find out that the woman really isn't a woman. And you find out that her children aren't really her children. Nothing is as it seems. And everything is exactly how it seems. Art is truth revealed. It is our culture. It is us. It is our consciousness. It is the very existence of our consciousness itself. Acknowledging its own existence. The sooner we are able to realize this, the sooner we can realize our full potential, which will never be able to be captured by thoughts like we are God, or there is no God. Because if you can't think of something beyond yourself, my God, what the fuck do you need to think about? Jesus, that was easy. I thought it would be way harder. So essentially, we've gotten back down to the Tower of Babel again. And, and just like Bible historians, genius philosophers have figured out, it's going to go really quickly. It's going to happen really fast. People are literally going to be disappearing. It's going to have the appearance of these false gods, these false prophets. They're going to be spreading this good word, and then people are just going to be disappearing. And then there are going to be people that are atheists that are not going to accept that. And that's okay, right? They want to be them, and they want to not believe in God, and they want to not believe in there's something else. They want to believe that they're the only thing, and that's fine. They're going to keep consuming, and they're going to keep obeying, and they're going to keep being part of that matrix that they created for themselves, and they're going to consume themselves into oblivion. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, there's some cool people. It would have been nice to have them around, but I mean, I really don't want to be around to see that. I don't think I'm going to be around to see my own death. Having this knowledge right now, as I'm dying, my last thoughts are going to be of exactly what I'm talking about. So, if you ask me, well, will I really die? I don't know. Where do I go? I don't know. Will I be part of something bigger? I think so. I'm willing to accept that. I think you can too. I have to pee. I have to relieve this flesh thing. I'm trying to, like, I have literally 45 seconds left before I hit the 20-minute mark. And, like, I'm trying to think of, like, if Jesus was real, and it's cool if he wasn't, if it was just notional, if it was, all this was notional, if it was just something that was just a message for us to hear, to realize that we were hearing a message. Like, did he do push-ups? Did he go to the gym? Like, did he work out? Like, did he take care of his body? Like, or was it just notional? Like, did he actually think? And then his body was just awesome. Because he didn't think he ever got sick, so maybe he didn't. He didn't think he did anything wrong because he didn't think that something could be wrong. Something to think about. I love you.